Hello there. Yes, well, it's Tuesday. I've got camera troubles, so you're looking at me from this thing, which I believe is a pinhole camera from 1903. Anyway, yes. Oh God, today's front pages, Tuesday's front pages are chocker with the shock horror news that an old person has a mild diagnosis. I can see this one running for a decade or so. Whenever there's any bad news about anything, we can just have a update on Charles. Keep going and going and going and going, and there's always Kate in the background as well, just in case you ever need to sneak out some news. But the news that caught my eye yesterday was David Miller, ex Bristol University sociologist, who was sacked for what the university said was anti-Semitism, and he was claiming was anti-Zionism. Anyway, the news yesterday was that his tribunal case came in, and it's the usual thing you'd expect from a tribunal case, which is one of those lengthy things whereby he's kind of won on the right of his to hold anti-Zionist views, but kind of lost in terms of the tribunal saying he would have been sacked anyway. The intriguing thing about this, of course, is that the usual sort of political sides have been, shutters and things have been strictly drawn up or down, whichever way that metaphor works, anyway. And Jewish organisations are screaming that we need a further hard reinforcement, the IHRA definition, which of course would prevent nasty men like David mentioning anything. Those of us that take a slightly different view of that, of course, don't agree. It will be interesting in future cases because this will set a precedent for what you are allowed to do. And if you recall, lots of people who are transphobes utilise this notion of law, that they're allowed to have certain views as sort of a protected characteristic. The problem, of course, comes when you actually mention those things and act upon them. And you would have thought that the usual kind of free speech suspects would be jumping up and down about the notion of an academic who's kind of won a tribunal case and is one of those, sort of radical out there people that doesn't mind upsetting their students. But if we look at Toby Young's Daily Skeptic updates today, we discover that there is no mention of it at all. Because, of course, it's too problematic. It's the wrong sort of free speech. And, we all know that that's the way that Toby Young works. It would be nice to see anybody just question him about that and watch him squirm. I do love it when he's forced, even on the mildest of GB News interviews, to defend his indefensible positions. But yeah, they have plenty of time for poor old Dougie Murray, who's those nasty Muslims are ganging up on the posh boy, even though, of course, it was just simply a whole bunch of white theatre workers. But let's not mention that because it spoils the narrative. And they are still very much pushing their standard transphobia line, including championing very, 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 very problematic people who haven't been able to get rid of their Twitter history, as Julia Hartley Brewer would call it, in a hurry. And consequently, it turns out that people that hold just gentle gender questioning views actually hold some pretty nasty views that the club, one that's committed to anti-racism, certainly can't really ignore. But again, it's the wrong type of free speech, so we won't get to hear any other views. Such is the nature of free speech. It's always about their free speech. It's not yours. Remember this, and do not try to imitate him, as we might have said of Captain Scarlet. Anyway, do have a lovely Tuesday, if you can.